Yeah, so as far as the big spread goes, I typically stay away from these and I look towards the props, and that's exactly what I'm doing here. Jordan Poole under 14.5 points in this one. Jordan Poole is not a 1A player. We've seen it consistently with the Wizards. When he doesn't have Draymond, Clay, Steph, it really doesn't work out too well for him. So that's a reason to take the under. He just has not been playing that well. One game against Boston this season, 11 points, was not great in 25 minutes. And in his past 10 games, he's averaged just 10.6 points per game. Really has not been that good. 4 points in his past 25 minutes as well on the floor. And now we're expecting him to score 15. I just can't get behind him here. There's a good chance the Celtics are up big in this game. As you were saying, the point spread is large for a reason here. And Poole probably doesn't play more than 25 minutes if that is the case. So Boston has the third best defensive rating in the NBA. They're also the best defensive rebounding team in the NBA. So second chance points are not likely in this spot. So looking at Jordan Poole, I just can't see him going over this line with how he has been bricking shots consistently. Take the under. So when I got here at Circa tonight, I caught the end of the Lakers versus Nuggets game. Nuggets found a way to pull ahead, but it was a tight one. It was a battle for them, and I think they're going to be tired coming into this game against the Kings, who are on a break. The Kings really want to play basketball right now. At least that's what I would expect after a very bad loss to the Pistons by 13 points. But let me set the record straight from this game. Detroit probably played their best game of the season. They're a 7-win team, but they were electric against the Kings. 56% from the field, 55% from three. And they won by 15 points. The ball just wasn't going in favor of the Kings the entire night, and that's a reason to ride here with the Kings for the fact that they have that motivation coming into this one against the Nuggets. On the flip side, the Nuggets, they did lose the Lakers by 8 tonight again, or they beat the Lakers by 8, but it was a close game. Denver is 3-6 against the spread off no rest here, and Sacramento's 10-4-1 against the spread with a rest advantage. So looking at this one here, De'Aaron Fox hasn't played that well in his past 2 games, but he has led this team shooting 47% from the field recently. He's got to get back on track, and I think he's going to be able to do that. Also, Sabonis has been fantastic, shooting 65% from the field in his past 10 games. He needs to limit Jokic down the paint. If he can do that, really like the Kings in this spot. I got it at +1. It's now -1, -1.5 in some spots, but the line's moving in favor of the Kings for a reason here. I think they get the win. Yeah, Dayton finds a way to win. They're a top team for a reason. They've been very good. 19-3 on the year. VCU is 15-8. Also a good team. Both teams are 13-9 against the spread as well. So that doesn't really tell the full story, though, because looking at Dayton, when you really dive into the numbers, they are a better team in this spot, especially at the KenPom rankings. Flyers are 23rd in the KenPom rankings compared to the Rams, who are 84th, and you're getting this for a pick'em. The Atlantic 10 is not the toughest conference to play in terms of road environment. So looking at Dayton going to VCU here, I don't see it being much of a challenge for them. They've proven they can win on the road the entire season. I don't think that changes in this spot. Deron Holmes has been amazing this season, scoring nearly 20 points per game, also shooting 55% from the field. So been very efficient as well. And that's something to look at coming into this one. There's one way that VCU stays in this game. It's with Max Shulga. He's been a good guard for them, but hasn't really been efficient from the field. That's something to look at. He needs to get his shooting percentage up in this one to give his team a chance here, or I see Dayton just finding a way. As you were saying, Greg, they're a bulldozer kind of team. They're very efficient from the field, and that wins games, especially in mid-majors like the Atlantic 10. Well, you have to take them on the puck line in this spot just because of the juice. I wouldn't want to play -300, which I believe it was at for the Rangers on the money line here. But when you look at the Rangers, they're a much better team than the Blackhawks. Chicago, there was a lot of excitement around Blackhawks hockey early in the year, but once Connor Bedard goes down on the injured reserve, that kind of fell off. They just really have not been that good as of late. They haven't been good the entire year, quite frankly. Blackhawks are scoring just over 2 goals per game. Obviously, that's not going to cut it, and that's a reason to go with the puck line for the other side, because if they can't score, they can't cover. They also give up 3.5 goals per game. The Rangers are going to outskate them. They're going to outshoot them in this one, and over 60 minutes, that should lead to a cover here. Chicago's also terrible, absolutely terrible on the power play. So there's just not really an easy route for them to cover in this game. I do believe they have a chance to score a little bit because Igor Shesterkin's been very shaky in the net for the New York Rangers. But at the same time, too, in his last game against Chicago, he was fantastic. Saved 95% of his shots and only allowed 1 goal. Artemi Panarin's been very good as well for the Rangers. I just think they're going to absolutely overpower Chicago throughout this game and find a way to cover.
Yep, I do think so as well. With the Rangers, they have been pretty spectacular all season long. And for the Blackhawks, they might be spectacular in like 3 to 4 years from now. They've got a lot of young stars on the team, but man, it's a little bit of growing pains there. And we've got about a minute left. We saw a little bit earlier in the week, the Edmonton Oilers, they were riding that just massive 16-game win streak. The Golden Knights were able to bust that up. Now they find themselves at about a minus 285 favorite on the road against the Anaheim Ducks. Is this a circumstance where it becomes either take a look at the underdog or take a look at more of a minus 110 puck line on the Oilers, much like in that Rangers versus Blackhawks game?
I would probably rather take a look at that minus 110 puck line just because they're such a powerful hockey team. They're going to outskate, they're going to outshoot, and again, that leads to covers, just like I'm looking at in this game with the Rangers against the Blackhawks. Any team can win on any given day in sports. That's sports betting. That's why we love it so much. But at the same time, too, the smarter move is probably to go towards the hot hand, the team that can cover, the team that can score, and that would be the Edmonton Oilers in this case. I'll tell you what, Greg, every single Uber I've gotten into this week, I've asked the driver, which side are you on? Because I'm trying to figure out and get a lean a little bit. You know, all the big bets are coming in on the 49ers. All the bets in general are coming in on the Chiefs. So it's really hard to make a play here, but I'm still on the Chiefs for the fact that I'm not going to bet against Patrick Mahomes as an underdog. He's just been fantastic, and it's hard to go against him. And if I lose this bet, if I lose my Chiefs Super Bowl bet, I can live with that in the sense of I didn't lose to Patrick Mahomes, right? Like, he lost the game, but overall, he's won. If you bet Patrick Mahomes as an underdog, every single time you have the opportunity to over his career, you are going to be up a lot of money. So I can live with myself if he loses the game. I can't live with myself betting the 49ers and then seeing Patrick Mahomes win. Yeah, big-time players, big-time plays, big game situations. The Chiefs have been here. They know how to perform in this spot. And Travis Kelce is one of those guys. He's the veteran that has anchored this team over the years. And that's why I'm taking him to go over 70.5 receiving yards. He didn't have a good regular season. It's no secret. But we can't bet the Super Bowl off what these teams did in week 1, 2, and 3. We can bet off what they've done in the playoffs. And Travis Kelce has been an absolute monster. 27 catches, 262 yards, 3 touchdowns in the playoffs, and he has gone over 70.5 receiving yards in every single game. No reason to think he's going to stop in the Super Bowl. The 49ers have been pretty strong against the pass. They're the number 4 ranked defensive passer rating unit in the NFL, according to coldhardfootballfacts.com. But at the same time, too, we look at what Sam Laporta did to them in the NFC Championship game. He was very good, 97 yards. And the San Francisco 49ers have shown a lot of holes in their secondary as of late. So betting off what these teams have done recently, it makes sense to go over on Travis Kelce's receiving yards. No, we come up with narratives, right? How the game is going to play out. Even though I think the Chiefs are going to find a way to win this one, it doesn't mean the 49ers aren't going to perform in some way. And one guy that's going to perform, the new offensive player of the year, Christian McCaffrey, I like him to go over 34.5 receiving yards. He makes plays all over the field, and I do think he's going to run the ball well in this game. I gave out his combined prop last week on the show. I do like that over 130.5. But looking at McCaffrey in the passing game, I think he's going to have a lot of opportunities to catch the ball out of the backfield. The one thing the Kansas City Chiefs do really well on defense is get after the quarterback. 3.2 sacks per game, which is second in the NFL. If they get pressure on Brock Purdy, it's going to lead to quick game, quick dump-offs, and Christian McCaffrey has been that safety valve out of the backfield. Also, looking at Brock Purdy coming into this game, you're going to want him to settle in. I don't see Kyle Shanahan trying to light up the vertical passing game early. I see him looking to that short to intermediate game, and that's where Christian McCaffrey thrives. So I think he's going to get a lot of bulk opportunities in this one, and I could see him going over this line pretty early in the game. He's a magician, right? That's what it comes down to. He's a guy that's going to make plays in any way, and he's very hard to bring down. Now, he's different than a Lamar Jackson kind of quarterback who's very fast and can evade pressure with his legs just by scrambling. Mahomes is shifty. He's very agile, and he's sneaky fast, and I think that's a reason to take him to go over 25.5 rushing yards. The San Francisco 49ers have a lot of dudes up front. They have guys that get after the quarterback. We might not have seen the results as of late, but when you look at the roster as a whole, these guys are going to be ready to play. Chase Young, Eric Armstead, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, guys that can rush the passer. If they find a way to get any pressure on Patrick Mahomes, he can take off and run. He can beat you with his arms, but he can also beat you with his legs, and I think teams forget about that. Now, Patrick Mahomes is a boom or bust runner. Some games he's going to have 50 yards. Other games he might not have any. But in this one, in the Super Bowl, when he's going to have to make plays and he's willing to take more risk with his body, look for him to run and go over this 25.5-yard line. Yep. This could be my favorite play of the game, and I'm looking at all the lines and props that everything that DraftKings has, and it's kind of crazy to think about every single opportunity that you have to bet in this game. But just going back to the basics, take a first half bet here. Chiefs plus a half. If they go in the locker room tied, you win this bet. And that's something to be excited about, because the Kansas City Chiefs, I think they're going to find a way to run the football in this game. And if they run the football, there's no reason to think they can't go into the locker room with a lead or potentially being tied at the half and you still finding a way to win this bet. Isaiah Pacheco, look for him to have a massive game, and look for Patrick Mahomes' experience to show up in the first half. Not saying the San Francisco 49ers can't win this game. Obviously, anyone can win in the Super Bowl. But if Brock Purdy plays well, I imagine it's not going to be in the first quarter of this game. I don't think it's going to be in the second quarter. I think it's going to be in the third and the fourth quarter when he settles in a little more. Early on, Kyle Shanahan's probably going to be a little more cautious with his play calling. If he goes into the locker room down 3 or down 7, that's a win for the 49ers, especially if Brock Purdy's getting comfortable. So look for the Chiefs to come out explosive. They've been here. They know how to play in this game. Look for the 49ers to be a little more cautious early. That could lead to a Chiefs lead at the halftime, and you cash in this bet. Well, just going to the coin toss here, I was assigned a video at DraftKings, and I was thinking, okay, well, heads versus tails, and I actually did some research on it. Apparently the head side weighs more, so that's why tails never failed.
We're going to get to physics on the coin toss. I love it.
Bottom line is tails never fails, but breaking down the props in this game, I'm going to have a mixture of both on each side, but more primarily on the Chiefs because, again, we come up with narratives when we bet on sports. I believe the Chiefs are going to win. That leads to more overs for Chiefs and more players that I want to look at. But I'm still going to play the stars for the San Francisco 49ers, like Christian McCaffrey. I'm very heavy on his props in this game. I'm thinking about doing some stuff with Brock Purdy, but really Christian McCaffrey is the primary guy that I'm betting on when it comes to the 49ers because I think he's going to perform no matter what, though. For the Chiefs, though, that's who I'm looking at. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, those two primarily. Sprinkling in some other guys. I like some field goal props potentially as well, but really focusing on those two and then the halftime and the full game bet with the Chiefs.